When you get right down to it, cybersecurity is built around a single question, a question that honestly feels completely impossible to answer.
I mean, just think about that for a second. How is any company, no matter how big or rich, supposed to protect every single server, every laptop, every piece of data from every single attacker out there for all time? It's a completely overwhelming thought.
And here's the secret. The answer is you don't. You just don't. The goal isn't to build some kind of impenetrable digital fortress. That's pure fantasy. The real art of cybersecurity is all about making smart, strategic decisions. It's about deciding what matters most, how you're going to protect it, and maybe most importantly, what risks you're willing to live with.
And that brings us to this idea of a constant balancing act. Imagine a scale. On one side, you've got all the possible cyber threats. On the other side, you've got all the tools and controls you could use to stop them. And the thing that's balancing it all, in the middle, your budget. It's a constant negotiation. You can't be 100% secure, and you can't have zero risk. It's all about making tough choices about where to spend your time and money.
So, how do we even start making those smart choices? Well, the very first step is just to see what you're up against. You've got to map out the entire threat landscape, identify every single potential risk your company faces. Because, it's pretty simple, right? You can't manage what you don't even know is there.
And this is the main tool professionals use to do that. It's called a risk register. The best way to think about it is like the ultimate super high-stakes to-do list for your entire organization's security. It's one central place where every single potential threat gets written down, tracked, and managed.
And here's just a little peek at what one looks like. You'll see things we all know and worry about, right? Malware getting on the network, an employee accidentally clicking a phishing link, or servers that haven't been updated getting hacked. This isn't just a list to scare you. It's the very first step to getting things under control.
Okay, so a list is a good start, but a list of worries isn't enough to make a business case. We have to go from guesswork to actual numbers. We need to measure what we're up against and turn those abstract fears into concrete data that we can actually work with. And this is the magic formula right here. It's super simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You calculate a risk score by multiplying the impact. How truly bad would it be if this thing happened? By the likelihood. What are the actual chances that it will happen?
Now, this whole process is actually standardized. This is the official framework from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And the most important thing to notice here is that it's a circle, not a straight line. It's a continuous cycle. You identify risks, you analyze them, you respond, and then you monitor. And then you do it all over again. It never, ever stops.
So how do we get those numbers for our formula? Well, this is how. We take those gut feelings, those qualitative terms like high impact, and we assign them a number. So a high impact might get a score of 100. A high likelihood might get a 1.0. Doing this lets us score every single risk consistently, so we can compare them properly, apples to apples.
And this is where it all comes together. This is the big payoff. You take all those scores from your risk register and you plot them on this, the risk matrix. And just like that, in one single picture, a security leader can see their entire threat landscape. See that top right corner, the red zone? Those are your biggest nightmares. High impact, high likelihood. That's where you put your focus, your money, and your people right now.
All right, so you've done the work. You've identified your risks, you've scored them, you have your beautiful, terrifying risk matrix, you know exactly what should be keeping you up at night. So, what do you do about it? Well, for every single one of those risks, you have 4 strategic choices. Think about it like you're securing your house. First, you can remediate the risk. You go out and buy a brand new, unpickable deadbolt. Problem solved. Or you could mitigate it. You get a big, loud dog. A burglar might still get in, but it's a lot less likely. Third, you can accept it. You might look at a tiny basement window and say, you know what, the risk of someone squeezing through that is so low, I'm just going to live with it. And finally, you can transfer the risk. This is basically just buying homeowner's insurance. If someone robs you, you're not on the hook for the full financial loss.
And that right there is the absolute heart of the matter. That whole decision-making process, whether you're choosing a firewall or a guard dog, it all points to this quote. A CISO, a Chief Information Security Officer, has to be a business leader first and a tech expert second. Deciding to accept a risk because fixing it costs way too much, that's not a technical failure, that's a calculated business decision. So remember that NIST cycle we looked at? This is why it's a circle. The job is never, ever done. The bad guys are always coming up with new attacks, new vulnerabilities are discovered daily. You have to constantly be monitoring your defenses and measuring how well you're actually doing. And you do that with these key performance indicators, or KPIs. They're like a report card for your security program. You track things like how many critical vulnerabilities are still open, are fewer employees clicking on phishing tests, how fast can we respond when something bad does happen. These numbers are how you prove your value and tell the story of your progress to the executives. And that storytelling part is absolutely crucial. Because let's be real, at the end of the day, a security program without support from the top, without the budget it needs to succeed, is pretty much doomed. The only way to get that support is to show how security helps the company achieve its real mission and its business goals. Which brings us right back to where we started. It was never about achieving the impossible. It's about making deliberate, conscious choices. Every single company on the planet accepts some level of risk, whether they admit it or not. The whole point of risk management is just to make sure those choices are made with open eyes. So the final question is, what risks are you choosing to live with?